Okay.
Ankit, till now,
Yeah, go ahead. Hello. Someone was saying something, right?
you did not share recorded session.
Okay. I think it should be with Varun.
We'll share you Anusha today. Okay, Manasa.
Okay, let me share my screen and let me know when you can see it. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first thing you wanted to know how to do the mapping, right? So say this is my JSON profile that we created, all right? And this is my XML profile, all right? So what we have to do is we need to map them. So suppose I want to map my first number name, okay? So I map it to name here like this, okay? And suppose I have last name that so for example, I haven't renamed this XML profile. I can rename it accordingly. But for now, let's say I'll map my last name with salutation. All right. What will happen is, so this is what you're asking, right? How to convert a JSON into an XML, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if I save and close this, I have this record. See. So if I click on this top shape and I go to shape source data, that's how my XML will look like. You see, first name is to John, and last name, since I mapped it to salutation, it comes here, John Smith, right? So did you get it now?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So that was one thing, like how to map them. Now, second thing was how to set a default value. So default value on the right hand side, you are seeing these down arrows, right? So say I want to set a default value on from. So I click on from, it will ask you how to set default value. Click on this and say I want to put it as Aniket. All right. I click on OK. I click on save. Let's test this. See, if I go to stop shape and click on here, so you'll see default value coming here, like from Aniket. All right. So that's how you provide a default value. Okay. Yeah. But for this default value, you need to remember one thing is that this default value will come if I have not mapped from. If my from value will get some value, suppose I map it like this. Okay. In that case, what will happen is it will take the value which is coming to the map. Okay. I click on here. I see. So what I was saying, first name I mapped it with name field. Last name I mapped it with from field, but it had a default value as well. But that default value is nullified when it finds a value already from the mapping. All right. So default value will come through only if you have not mapped anything there. Okay. You got my point?
Okay, sir.
Then going forward, what we have to learn today is how to set dynamic process properties and how to use them within a process, or where and all we can retrieve them actually. Okay. So suppose I have this process, all right, and I have a set property shape, and what I want to do is I want to set a dynamic process property. So I click on this, I click on dynamic process property, and I give a name here. Say I give it as LSRD. Okay, where LSRD is say an abbreviation for last successful run date. All right. So I click on OK. Now what it will do is my property name is set. Now I have to set the parameter. I click on plus sign and I click on date time. So there are two things. So one thing is it will ask me what type of date you want to set. So suppose if you're setting last successful run date, this date is something that is set by the Boomi interface when you deploy a process and run it. So this is like Boomi property. All right. So for example, for now, I am showing you how these properties are set. So let's say I want to set it as current date. All right. I'll show you other function. I'll show you a relative date as well, how to set that. So I click on current date. I choose my date mask as this. Okay. And I click on OK. So now my dynamic process property of LSRD is set here. So remember, when you are setting a date property, it should always be set at the first, meaning at the beginning of the process. It should always be set there, because once that is set, you can use it all over the process wherever you want to. All right. So I set my property now. Okay. And I connect this here. Now what I want to do is, within my map, I want to fetch my dynamic process property and map it. So what I'll do, I'll go to functions. I click on user defined, it will show me some options. So I go to properties, I go to get dynamic process property. So if you see here, there are two options. One is get dynamic process property. Second is set dynamic process property. So get dynamic process property is something that you use to retrieve a value when you have already set a property. Set dynamic process property can be used when you have to set a dynamic process property within map. All right. So here what we'll use is get dynamic process property. I click on OK. It will ask me what is the property name. All right. So I gave it, I told you, right, it is case sensitive. So I give it as is, as LSRD. No other values we need to do here. I click on OK. All right. Now let's say I want to map this into my profile here, but what I have to check is if my these things will take character or date time or something. So those things like data types you can see here. All right. For any element you can see data types here. You can set them like character, number, date time, anything. So best way is to keep them at character so that they take any values in form of that. So I map this to say body for now. All right. And what I am looking for, the value at body is the current date from Boomi. All right. So I save and close this. I've connected the date setting. I click on test. Now, if I go to stop and click on shape source data, see inside body, what I got is current date, right? So that's how we set a dynamic process property and retrieve it. All right. So now second thing that we have to check is how to set relative date. So I click on this, double click on this, and I click on relative date. It will ask me, what do you want, what kind of relation you want with the current date. So suppose on the unit side, you can have it in seconds, minutes, hours, days, anything. Say I have put it as days, okay? And here is the operation, whether you want to add one day or you want to subtract one day. All right. So suppose I want to subtract one day here, okay? In the same format, I click on OK. My LSRD is now set with current date minus one day. So what I should be looking at, the value in the body is 17th October. I click on OK. See, what I've got here is 17th October now. So you understood how to set a dynamic process property and dates and how to retrieve it. So this dynamic process property can be anything. I just gave you an example of date. Okay. Any questions till now?
No, Ankit.
Okay. Now my date is set. We already have seen how to set document property. Now I'll show you how to set dynamic document property. So the way you set the LSRD, okay, this dynamic process property, similar way you can set a dynamic document property as well. It has to be like, again, suppose, but for dynamic document property, since it is a say a dynamic document property is used to store some profile value or some profile elements, okay? So sometimes what you need to do is we can set dynamic document property after the map. All right, so I click on set properties again, click on plus sign, I go to dynamic document property, and again say I name it as F name. All right, I click on OK. Then it will ask me what value I want to set. So again, either I can have a static value that I can give Aniket or something, or what I can choose is I can choose a profile element. So I mean, you can choose anything, whatever you want to. So suppose I'm setting a profile element into my dynamic document property. So now it will ask me what kind of profile type are you getting. So from the map, what we have got is an XML profile. So I click on this XML, then it will ask me what profile you want to choose. So my profile name is new XML profile. I click on this. So once I choose my profile, it will give me all the elements that are available into my XML profile. You see here, right? So in what I have done is I mapped my first name with a name field. So I click on name, I click on OK, and my dynamic document property of F name is set here. Okay, I click on this again. Now suppose I want to say now I want to retrieve that value. Okay, so I'll show you how to retrieve that. One option is, again, you can retrieve it inside a map function. Second option, I'll show you via notify shape, what we can do via notify shape as well. That's how you'll understand how notify shape is configured, as well as how dynamic document property is retrieved. All right, so now what it asks me here is message, what message you want to set. Okay, so suppose I want to set the first name is, okay, I give a semicolon or a colon, and I declare it as variable 1. Okay, so how message will look like is the first name is, and after that my value. So now I have to declare that one variable. So I click on this plus sign, I go to properties again, Okay, it does not show me a property here. All right, that's fine. Within this shape, suppose what I have to do is I have to retrieve this, right? So I go to this place, I click on disk file name, and instead of static value of Aniket, I click in here, I go to again, shit, it's not showing me that option, but let me show you that way. So I remove this map after here, suppose, or say I use one more map for now, and I click on this, and this is my, suppose, XML to FF map. I choose profile as XML. Right. On the right hand side, I choose a flat file. Right. So within this map function again, say I have to retrieve my dynamic document property. So what I'll again choose is get document property. All right. Or say click on OK. Won't give me those options. Okay. I click on dynamic document property and I search for F name. That's what we have said, right? I click on OK. So this is like asking me for a default value, right? So, oh, sorry, I clicked on set. I want it to be get, right? So click on OK, OK. And now here I map it with say F name. All right. I save and close this. I click on OK. I connect this map. So what it will do is I click on test. It will give me from that dynamic document property, it will give me the name. So both of them actually functions in the same way, like dynamic process property and dynamic document property. They function in the same way, but the only difference is that my dynamic document property cannot be fetched on a second branch. All right. You always have to remember that. If I click on this, see, my first name has come as John. That's what we have said, and that's what we have retrieved from the map. Till now, any questions? Anyone? Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Then moving forward to notify shape. All right. So on the notify shape, again, what we wanted to do is we wanted to check whether all right. So I click on variable. So my notify shape actually does few things for my process logs. All right. So either it will be an information, or it will can give me a warning, or it can give me an error log. All right. So I already explained what notify shape does. Now I'm explaining how to set this up. All right. So suppose I have from my notify shape, what I want in my process logs is whatever value is set in my either my dynamic process property or in my say in my dynamic process property, okay, I will take them. So I click on variables. So first of all, what we did set was the LSRD. So I click on dynamic process property. It will ask me the property name again. I give it as LSRD. Sorry, that's my second variable. First variable is my dynamic document property, right? So I click on document property again. I click on choose. Now I go to dynamic document property and give it as F name. Click OK here. And then for my second variable, so you see here, right, in curly braces, you're seeing 1. So this, whatever value is coming from F name document property will be set at this rate, at this level. Now coming to second, I click on plus again. Now second variable is my dynamic process property of LSRD that we have set for relative date, and we should be looking at a value of 17th October. Okay, so I click on OK. I connect this map here and I connect it to stop shape. Now save this and I test it. Okay, now what I want to see is whether my notify ship has given me any information or not. So I click on notify, I go to logs. Okay, so here if you'll see parameter 1 value, what was that? My first name, John. All right, parameter 2 value. So if you'll see here, right, the final output, so the first name is John, LSRD is this. So now you get it, right? How the logs are created using a notify shape, right? Yes. Any question till here? How to configure notify shape or dynamic document property, dynamic process property, or how to set dates? Any questions still here? Anyone? Hello. Okay. So for today, all right, I'm giving it on the chat window. What you have to do is within your process that you have created on Thursday, map JSON to XML and then XML to flat file. You have to set dynamic process property with relative date and current date. 3, you have to retrieve your DPP within map. Then you have to set dynamic document property with phone number. Okay, I don't want you to set with dynamic. I don't want you to set it with the first name. I want you to set it on phone number. So you have to set dynamic document property with phone number and fetch it using notify shape. So this is that you have to do for today. All right. Now moving to other shapes. So my other shape now moving forward, what we have already seen is map, set properties, message, notify, and program command. So program command shape, I don't have any application at in like at the present uh, scenarios. I don't have any live scenario for this one, and this is basically I have never used any application of it as well, to be uh, frank. Okay, and its least used shapes are program command and find changes. All other shapes we use them somewhere, but program command and find changes shape we n- like we use them in a very rare scenario. All right. So moving to process call shape. Now process call shape is something like I can call a process within my main process. So suppose what I have here is a process, okay, that says, all right, I have what to say, I I have made a main process. I name it as say main. Okay. Now within this process, what I did was I only did it till here. All right. I mapped my JSON into an XML profile. All right. So rest of the part I want to do into a what to say into an sub process. So I create a sub process. I go to my folder and I click on say new component. I name it as sub. All right. I create this. Now in here, what I want to do is so first thing, whenever you are creating a sub process, okay, it should always be data pass through. Why data pass through is because you want this process to take data from your main process. So whatever data is being processed into your main process should be passed in here. That's why we use data pass through option. I click on OK. All right. And then what I want to do here is I want to map my XML into a flat file, and I want to use my sorry, I copy it, I paste it here. All right. So okay, and I click on save. Now what I want here is that after this dynamic document property is set, all right, I want to call my process, my sub process, to do my further transformation from an XML to flat file. So I choose process call shape in those scenarios. I click on this. So it will ask me for what process you want to call here. So I click on this and I click on sub test here. All right. Now you have one option here, abort if sub process fails. Meaning, suppose you have a process with 2 branches or say 3 branches, and you have this process call shape on your first branch, and you enable this option. What will happen is if your sub processors fail with any error, your complete process is on halt. So you keep this option enabled because you don't want to process something or process a wrong data because your one of the sub processes already failed. All right. So you always keep this enabled. You click on OK and you map it. All right. And you click on test. Okay. Now I click on this, I go to shape source data, I click on this arrow. So when within your process execution, to go inside a sub process, you have to click on this arrow. If I click on this arrow, it will show me the execution within the sub process. See, if I click on stop shape, it will show me the first name. That's what we have mapped into our XML2 flat file. Okay. Now I will show you why I have used data pass through and not anything else. All right. So I go to sub process, and this connector, I again make it to no data. All right. So in this case, what will happen is this sub process will be considered as an independent process. All right. This sub process will be considered as an independent process, as in it won't take any data at the start shape. It will try to fetch data and process it accordingly. So if I click on test, see what it says is unable to create XML data. Why? And if I show you where it has failed my sub process. So I click on this. Now what has happened here is that map shape did not get any input data, right? Because we didn't give it anything. See, my map shape did not get anything here. So that's why the process has failed, because it took no data here. It processed it as an independent process, and then it failed here. All right. So till now, any question? How to use a process call shape, and why to use data pass through? Any questions till now?
No, Ankit.
Okay. So now in your assignment, add this thing as well, that you have to create a sub process, and that can be anything, meaning I just showed you for mapping. You don't need to do mapping and mapping, or you can have it anyway. All right, but you have to create a sub process and call it using a process call sheet. All right. Now coming to process route shape. So process route shape I will take when I'll go to logic shapes, and I'll explain the route shape here. I'll take process route shape at that point in time. Okay. Till then, just leave it as is. Now, next shape is data process shape. Now this shape is used for multiple functions, what you want to do with your document. Meaning, I click on this plus sign, it will give me what kind of process you want to perform. So suppose you want to search and replace something, you can do it. These are the options that you can do using this map function or this data process shape. Okay, you can combine document, you can have custom scripting, you can split documents. I mean, that's what you can do. Now, I mean, in general and in, say, in majority of the cases, okay, what we use is we use combined documents when we have a flat file coming from map shape and we have to send it somewhere. We use combined documents. Custom scripting is the case where we want to set something using there is something that cannot be done using these shapes, and we want, even then we want to do it, we can have a custom scripting to set those things. Meaning, suppose there is no function within Boomi that you can trail the what to say, trail the time or date time to seconds or milliseconds. All right. So that those things you can do via custom scripting. Now, search and replace, I already told you, you can search something and replace it with whatever you want. Split documents. Split documents is for your for splitting a document based on an element. So suppose I have a document here like this. Okay. Now what I have is I want, this is fine. All right. But what I want to do is I want to split my document based on addresses. All right. So it will, so on that case, what it will do is I click on, say, I want to split my document. It will ask me what kind of profile you are having. I click on JSON. It will ask me batch count. It will ask me profile. So batch count, you can leave it to 0. It will ask me for a profile. So profile, say I chose it as this one. All right. No, it's 4. Sorry. Now it will ask me through what element you want to split this. So if you click on this one, it will give you some object on what element you want to split. So I click on addresses. So based on addresses, it will split my document. So suppose I have this one document that has 2 addresses. All right. Address 1, address 2, right? But they all come under one array only, right? But say I have, instead of this phone numbers, I have one more this. All right. In that case, what it will do is it will split my this whole document one like this. Let me show you how 2 documents will look like. One document will come as this, and second document, oh man, should I remove that? I think. Let me reopen that. See. Now, first document will have up till this, and second document, what it will have is this part till here and this part. So let me open a notepad again. All right. So that's how it will look. So suppose I split my document. So what it will do is first part will look from here to till here. Okay. And my second part of the document will be like this. So you understood how it splits a document into 2 parts based on addresses, right? Any questions still here? Anyone, any question?
No, sir.
All right. So now what you have to do is you have to use data process shape, okay, to search and replace. Use data process shape to search and replace something from your mapping, okay, or from your document. All right. So till today, today we have covered till data process shape. Find changes shape has an application in case you want to find any document that has changed, but this is again that this document has, or this shape has no application that I have seen till now. Okay. So for this shape, again, I cannot show you any application or how to use it, but this shape is basically used when you have a file that you want to find changes in. Suppose I sent a file today uh, with first name Aniket, last name Rai. That's it. Now on the second day, I sent a file again with first name Aniket. I added my middle name Kumar. I added my last name as Rai. So what it will do is it will find those changes, what has changed into it. So middle name has changed, right? So it will find those changes and highlight them, that this is the change that this profile is having actually. Okay. So that's what this shape does. Now tomorrow we will cover how to add something into cache, how to retrieve it, and how to remove it from cache. All right. Till today, like in today's class, any questions till now? And one more thing, are you guys understanding what I'm saying or what I'm showing you here? Are you able to follow that?
Yeah, Ankit.
Okay, great. So do those things what I have given in the chat window. All right. And let me know if you have any questions after this. Okay, we'll take that tomorrow and then we'll cover other shapes from here and then we'll move to logic shapes. All right.
Ankit,
Yep.
in data process shape, we can use base 64 encode. We
Yes.
also use them.
Yes. So all these options you can use them. All right. But again, within Boomi, I don't think you need to encode or decode anything. You can use it for encryption, and decryption is used in, like, when it is like a when you are into a client scenario and you have to send some important data, right? You always encrypt it. But these are keys that are provided by, like, encryption certificates and all. These are being provided by the client itself. All right. But you can use any of these functions like base 64, encode, decode. You can use them.
In real time, is a client is provided there. Base 64 decode or encode, encryption, decryption.
See, basically what I have in my experience, okay, client does not want anything decoded or encoded in. So if you see your base 64 encode, decode, and character encode, decode, I don't see. So all these functions are, I won't say they can be used. I'll say they are not used very often. Okay. Very often what we use is combined documents, custom scripting, search replace, split documents, PGP encrypt, PGP decrypt. These are the functions that we use very often.
What is meant by PGP encryption, decryption?
Okay, so this is like encrypting a document. Okay, so PGP encrypt will, before sending your file to client or to a system. Okay, so when you're processing a data, well, all right, that can be an important data. That can be someone's salary, that can be someone's mobile number, address, anything, right? And you don't want that data to be compromised or seen by anybody in between, or anybody who opens that file, right? It has to be opened by the authorized person only. So what we do is we encrypt that data on the Boomi layer itself, okay, using an encryption certificate. That, again, that encryption certificate is provided by the client, and they have the key deployed on at their end to decrypt that file. So whosoever person is authorized to do that will have the key to decrypt that data. But on the at the Boomi end, we encrypt that data using PGP encrypt function. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll take that as a no. And Varun, I think we're done for today.